All right. Hey, folks, Rob at Feedbackwrench. I am here interviewing Julian and Karla of Upfront CPA, and I just want to tell the stories of entrepreneurs. And so these guys have kind of a unique story, and I figured why not have them share it? They have this Upfront CPA. You guys are helping people as outsourced accountants. We've done some marketing work for you, but yeah, I wanted to get you on here and share the story of somebody who you guys took your dreams and actually started moving forward here. So I mean, maybe I'll pick on Karla first here, but Karla, you guys are a team. You've come together. Just do a quick survey of who you guys are. How did you get to this point where the two of you are running a firm together, and just to help people understand who you guys are?
Sure. Hey, Rob. Of course, it was my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for doing this. So I am actually an accountant. I worked for Fortune 500 companies for about 20 years. I also worked with a few nonprofits. And then around COVID time, when everything stopped, my company shut down for 3 months. And in those 3 months, I was like, what do I do? I need to make income. And I decided to do bookkeeping on the side for friends. I started with friends and family that needed my help, and I really enjoyed getting out of corporate America for a little bit and being able to help these small companies. And I found really quickly that they needed my help, that they needed somebody with my experience and my expertise and somebody to apply my knowledge to a company their size, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter really the size. Accounting needs to be done correctly to benefit the company, right?
Yeah.
To help them grow, to help them make decisions. And I found through these friends and family members that they were just, I don't even know what they were doing. They were not necessarily keeping things straight the way they were supposed to. And then at that time is when I realized, hey, this is something that I can actually do. I can actually do on my own. But I found out pretty quickly also that I didn't want to do it by myself. I didn't want to be the only decision maker in my company. I felt like I needed to I needed somebody that I could go to and ask questions. So at that time is when I really started considering maybe exploring this option of being an entrepreneur, of becoming an independent person and opening my own company. It still took me a few years before I made that decision. But it was something that it was in the back of my mind. And for about those 3 years, everything opened back up. I started working again, but I did keep those clients on the side.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I'm going to unmute Julian here. Julian, I got a little bit of feedback in your thing, so I might mute you every once in a while. So, Karla, you start side gigging during COVID. You get some folks that are doing some bookkeeping with you. And then, okay, so what were you doing, Julian, up to the point where you guys actually, because what year did you guys launched, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago now, or what?
Almost 2 years.
So we launched in December of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be about 2 years since we officially launched. So yeah, I could say that, similar to Karla, but I want to say maybe for me was maybe a little bit way before that. I kind of wanted to start doing my own thing. So I've been in corporate America for a while too. Since I started my career, I've been working I started in banking actually, and then I made a switch to accounting because I felt like in the banking industry, like I was getting I was doing more things in the accounting side. They helped me with to getting my master's in accounting. So it just made sense. Then they helped me with the CPA. So, so I kind of made a shift over to the accounting industry.
And when was that? How long ago was that? That was what year was that?
Yeah, that was kind of maybe right out of college. So maybe, it's been a while, but maybe 20 years ago, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so the first few years of my, after college was just kind of, when I made that switch over to accounting, right?
Okay.
And then, I was working for, I was doing a lot of investment accounting. So I worked for hedge funds. private equity. So I was working with like high-end, high network individuals and firms. And, what I noticed was, what I thought it was not unfair, but I just noticed how like, rich people tend to save more money and sometimes they pay little to no taxes. So, I thought that, there are certain strategies that they use that the average person could use. And I wanted to, similar to what Karla said, I wanted to use that knowledge and, kind of what the strategies, because some people think that only the rich can benefit from things, and that is not further from the truth. I mean, there are just, there are things that everyone can do that can help with their taxes. It's just a matter of taking the time and, having the goal to do it. So all you gotta do, and, it can go a long way on like, just getting yourself organized and make, if you're doing like your own business, make sure that you structure it correctly. Like little things like that can save you a ton of money. So then I kind of wanted to, for a while, maybe halfway through my career into in the corporate world, then it's when I started, kind of visualizing just doing this on my own. But I similar to Karla, I started doing it as a side gig. I didn't have a lot of time, working for corporate America and the investment accounting side. It can be long hours. So, I did have a few clients that try to help, family and friends whenever I could. But I did start kind of my own firm also. And then when I met Karla, I think she was in the same place. We actually met through our spouses. Through our kid in baseball. Both our kids play baseball on the same team. And it was just a coincidence, her husband talked to, we met in the at the baseball, and we started talking, and then, then her husband, mentioned that his wife was an accountant looking to, do her own thing. My wife told her the same about me. We ended up like meeting, just kind of see where we were. And then, things progressed from there to where now we launched, and we've been 2 years into the life of Upfront CPA.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, you know what? I think it'd be really cool to hear is, as you look back, if you were to give yourself some advice, maybe we'll just keep alternating. So maybe Karla here, if you were to whisper into your guys' ears 2.5 years ago before you launched, what kind of advice, perspective, heads up, what kind of advice would you have for yourself?
Be very patient. It's a process, right? Be patient, but believe in your products. Believe in what you have, believe in what you can give to your client. It's something that I learned really fast. As an accountant, I always worked behind the desk in my computer, looking at Excel spreadsheets. I only dealt with maybe the finance department, accounts payable, but other departments within the company that I worked for. But that's all I did, basically. As an entrepreneur, I learned really fast that you have to wear all the hats, especially at the beginning when you're just launching. So I not only needed to do the accounting, obviously, which I know, but I also needed to learn about marketing. I needed to learn about sales. I needed to learn HR. And there's everything. I felt a lot of pressure at the beginning. I felt like, oh my God, this is too much. But then that's when the patience comes in. And that's when the trust of what I was doing came in. And I was like, no, this is something that I can definitely do. I have a great partner. We work well together. Let's use let's work together to make this work, to bring this up front.
Yeah, you guys you have kind of a yin and yang where you have complementary strengths with each other. So you would go encourage yourself to be patient, knowing that there's going to be a lot to go on, but persevere through it is what you're saying. Just keep swimming like Dory in the thing. How about you, Julian? If you were to go back and whisper to yourself, maybe something you don't know or something that you've learned, what kind of advice would you have for yourself 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good question. It's in retrospect, looking back, it's always fascinating to see like what you would tell yourself. So I think and I would say, in these, like anyone that's starting their own business, you gotta have, like, I think there are some things you need, like Karla said, you need patience. Absolutely, you need patience. You also need to, and I think she said it perfectly too, you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in what you're trying to accomplish. There are many, many things that are going to happen, and a lot of things are going to happen where it's going to make you doubt, or, like think, why am I doing this? Especially like maybe in our case, because I think, Karla and I both, we had our steady paychecks, making, I would say a steady income, let's call it that,
Yeah.
but so it's hard to go from that to, now you got to go out there and make your own living. Right. So it just takes, it takes dedication. It takes, it takes perseverance, and also making that switch, right? Like she said, when you're an employee and you have been for the majority of your career, you're used to, handing the jobs to you, handing the clients to you. So now you got to make that switch to, now you're in the driving seat, right? Which for me was actually something I've been looking forward to. I was kind of getting tired of, kind of following other people's lead. I wanted to just create my own, kind of situation. So for me, it was kind of maybe, I don't want to say easy, but it was just kind of more smooth because I was ready, So, yeah. But
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, so but yeah, that would be my advice to, anyone starting their own business. It's hard. It can be tough. And I think it's also important to, and I think that's kind of what Karla and I offer in our business is, one key, you have to set up for the future. Like one thing that Karla and I did, we reinvested. Pretty much we've been up to this point reinvesting a lot of our money back into the business. We're making sure that we have all the tools. We're investing in technology. We're investing in, back into the business a lot to make sure that, we're competitive and that we can offer a good service. So, and then that comes with the patience, right? And you obviously have to do advertising, quite a bit of advertising for yourself. Always kind of make the bit of a joke, that it's like you selling Herbalife, it was so annoying. Like, when somebody was telling you Herbalife, like, at a party, hey man, like, okay, can you just not tell me Herbalife every time I see you? Not today, but, you have to sell yourself, not, you
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like it's not like you do your 9 to 5 and then you go home and you forget about your job. Now, it's more of your living, right? But like I said, for me, was also kind of a smooth transition because I kind of feel like I was ready to make that jump. But yeah.
Yeah. And if I can add also, Rob, something that I learned also is that you can build a team around you as well. It doesn't have to be just Julian and I. There's other sources outside of Upfront CPA that we can use to help us do this. So we don't have to do this by ourselves. So we hired a great team with Feedbackwrench as far as the
I don't know if
the branding and all that. The branding, the website. But and the same thing, through networking events, I also found out that I like to speak to other people that have been through what I'm going through right now. And I love to hear what they have to say and hear their advice. So that's something else that I learned. I don't have to do this on my own. It's not just the two of us. There's people outside that can also help us.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I am encouraged because we were always encouraged going through our process together here. And You guys, I'd love to just have you share with people listening. You guys are processing things in 2 languages right now, right? You guys are both bilingual. Why don't you share us a little bit of your heritage and, a little bit so that people understand you're serving folks down in Orlando and in Florida, but just help us get perspective of that, if you're cool with it.
Mm-hmm. I was born in Puerto Rico. I moved to Orlando, Florida when I was 14 years old. And it was great. I love I know it was a hard decision on my parents about leaving the island and taking their family to Florida. It was a new beginnings for us. So yes, I definitely speak Spanish fluently, and I try to teach my kids also. It's been a little bit tough, but I also try to encourage them to speak Spanish. And in Orlando, I'm from Puerto Rico. My husband is from Venezuela, so he also speaks Spanish. At that time, when I moved to Orlando back in the 1990s, most of the population of the Hispanic population in Orlando were Puerto Ricans. But now, 30 years later, there's everything here. We have people from Venezuela, people from Colombia. It's a lot. The Hispanic community in Orlando, it keeps growing every year. So like you said, definitely, I'm very blessed that I grew up here and my English is pretty good, but my Spanish is pretty good because I also, my parents and I in our household, till this day, we always speak Spanish to each other. So I kept the Spanish there. But yeah, so we can serve both communities perfectly.
That's fantastic. Julian, why don't you share a little bit from your perspective too? Because I think it's a cool part of your guys' story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, for me, I was born in Venezuela. Also, I moved here when I was about, I want to say 13, 14 years old. I forget, too long ago. But yeah, I moved and I've been living in Florida ever since. So initially at the beginning, I used to go back home a lot, not quite so much lately, but, obviously, yeah, I'm fluent in both English and Spanish. I do like, one of the things that motivated me to do this was also helping, the Spanish community. When you thought of, CPA, there weren't a lot of, CPAs that were Spanish speaking. So, from what I knew and from the information I was getting, was people were, they had that kind of, that they didn't have that Spanish connection that they could go and talk to in their, Spanish and, to a CPA. They had to have a translator or something like that. So, one of the things that motivated me to do this was that I saw that need there in my community, to help out, having a CPA that spoke Spanish, I was able to talk to them in Spanish and kind of just, walking through their issue.
Communication is kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
just a little bit. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. Maybe you guys just kind of off the cuff, help, share with people, what do you see going on in the Spanish speaking entrepreneur community? I know there's a lot of different tensions at play, everything from immigration statuses to accounting, bookkeeping, and tax to all sorts of things. Like, just what are some of the problems they face? What are what's it really like? What are you seeing? Catch us up with the small business climate that you're serving right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point, right? Yes.
Sorry, no. No, sorry. What I see a lot of people is that a lot of people don't understand because it's so different. Maybe the way things are done here than it's done in their country, or maybe they didn't understand it in their country either, right? Because accounting is not easy for everybody to understand. But from the Hispanic community, at least that's the first thing that I see, that they just have no understanding as far as the taxes and how that works here.
It's unreal. I'm going to hand it off to you, Julian, in a second, but it is really, when you come in and you realize that you'd think you just get to come to America, land of the free, home of the brave, start your business, get going, and then all of a sudden you start realizing you got everything from licensure laws to sales tax to regular tax, employment law. There's so much stuff. And there's a lot of things I think in America that can be easy to learn, but I think the complexities of this are really tough. I think that it's really opaque. There's not one place to go. You got state, federal, IRS, and then you've got the banking situations. I don't think it's easy at all. It's one of the things I'm passionate about. I think we need to make it much easier for people to A, come here legally, B, start businesses, C, keep the complexity low. I just really think that you should be able to come in and add value, start your own business. And I just feel, I don't know how people, like it's hard for folks that grew up here their whole life to know all these complexities, let alone somebody who came from the outside and is learning from the inside. But Julian, what would you add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, most of the people that move here, right, especially like in our experiences, people are like just kind of chasing the American dream, right? So they're looking for opportunities that they don't get at home, right? And, usually that comes with entrepreneurship, right? They need to come here, usually, start their own business, whether it's, landscaping, whether it's construction, whatever they can get their hands on. They were able to do that back home. Here, they have an opportunity. They may have opportunities that they don't have, right, at home, right? Usually that's kind of what they're chasing, right? And you're absolutely right. I think here in the U.S., we're good at kind of advertising maybe that dream, or kind of the setup is there to do the business. But then what comes with it is not very like, it's not information provided, right? It's not readily available.
Figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's more like figure it out, and exactly, they may not know, exactly. So for example, the taxes, they may not know anything about taxes. They may not know a lot about, whatever licenses they might need. So I think, and it's also not even clear how to get that information. So, what we try to do here up front is, try to help them. We help a lot in the areas of like, business formation. Obviously there are so many businesses. We don't offer the service of, for example, getting your license. Like if you want to set up like a food truck, there are certain licenses you gotta go through. We don't offer that service per se, but we do offer assistance in terms of, maybe some of the things that you may need to navigate through to create the business, where you may need to go to get the license for you to work that out. But when it comes to accounting and taxes, that's where we can definitely, help and assist and move them to, their situation.
That's good. That's good. No, Julian, you said you have to get going here. Do we have you for a little bit longer, or where are you at?
Yeah. Let's go a little bit longer.
Okay. So I think one of the things we talked about last time is this idea. So many folks that come over here and start a business, maybe they're new to the country and they get going. There can be a hesitancy to want to start reporting this income. There can be a hesitancy to start doing that, right? And I remember in one of our conversations, we talked about if you really want to solidify a future for your family, solidify a future and build a heritage, sometimes it takes that step to start reporting that income and paying those taxes and legitimizing. What kind of advice would you have for somebody that maybe is working under the books, or, just they're at that position where they're starting to build momentum and they're torn between what do I do? Because I know I hear lots of people having that problem. What kind of advice do you have for folks that are maybe facing that?
Yeah, I would say the advice is simple, and that's like, do things right, because unfortunately there are so many, I want to say temptations or maybe misinformation and disinformation about exactly what you just described. Like, for example, taxes. There's so many, and we've had so many cases in the short time we've been operating, people working with, not speak against the industry of tax preparers, because that there can be really good tax preparers, but well, we've seen a few that are not that good, giving wrong advice, and it's exactly what you just said. If you wanna grow your business, if you wanna scale, doing things like if you're doing taxes, incorrectly, or you're under-reporting, or you're having messy returns, that it's not going to help you. we've seen cases where there are people that, started like small businesses. They were doing things, let's call it at best conservative when it comes to, their income reporting. And now they want to grow, they want to get a loan, and, they're looking at, let's say, $1 million, $2 million investment for loans, and they can't get approved because when they look at the history, it's not even, and what's sad is like, they actually did make money, but they just weren't reporting it. Right.
Yeah.
So, it's good to think smart, just, you can always find ways to, let's say, minimize tax, but do it correctly, right? Not just, have crazy expenses that go over your revenue. Maybe that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
There are certain strategies you can use to do things right. Talk to a CPA, talk to someone that knows, that has a history, that is not going to sell you, let's say a low tax payment, but, that at the end, you're going to be responsible for anyways, so that would be, my advice. We've seen it so many times, don't sell yourself short. One day you might not even know, and you may come up with a good opportunity. So it's, make sure that you're doing things right.
What would you add, Karla?
Yes, no, I agree 100% with what Julian said. Do it right from the very beginning. Doesn't matter how small you are, for those same reasons, because eventually you will grow, and eventually it might cost you more not to do it right from the beginning than going back and trying to fix something that happened, throughout the years. And like, I think we saw it during COVID too, when the SDA, the PPP loans and things like that were available for businesses to apply. A lot of people couldn't apply or couldn't do anything about it because they didn't have the correct financial records. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I say. Doesn't matter how small you are, do it right from the beginning.
For what it's worth, me as an entrepreneur, anybody listening to this, if you're running anything, particularly in the trades, if you're whatever you're doing, one of the things I just want to encourage folks is don't make foolish decisions and compromise your integrity with things in these small ways, because if you come out and persist in the trades right now, it doesn't matter. You are going to succeed. So if you're building your business, if you're a contractor or subcontractor, I don't care what you're in, you can come in and you can make a sweet business. If you come into where I live in the suburbs here in Minneapolis and you drive south for 20 minutes, what you're going to find is castle after castle, huge houses with acreage land, with a truck out front and a bobcat and a trailer, because they started their own business, they persisted and did it right, and they make tons of money. And so right now on the table, there is not enough supply. Most American kids, what happened in the last 25 years, they got trained to do liberal arts nonsense. No offense. But what didn't get trained is how to do HVAC, how to do landscaping, how to do any electrician. If you can come in and do this, don't sell yourself short. You may be on the cusp of a generational transformation that you might not even know about. The American dream is there, but a lot of time it's persisting and making sure you're reporting your income, which is obnoxious. But then you got to talk to Upfront CPA so that you pay your fair share, pay your taxes, but as little as possible to be all right. And then they'll help you build a financial picture that helps you get loans, that helps you build momentum and invest, and it will transform what you've got going financially. I just cannot, there are so few people in the trades right now. Nobody can get work. If you go pour into that and start your own business, do it right, because you'll make a ton of money. Anyways, I get excited about that, but what other thoughts come up? What else are you learning about the community? I'm really curious because I'm up here in Minnesota, where it's kind of, it's a lot of construction stuff. You guys have a different economy down in Orlando, somewhat similar, but like, what could people know about what you see in the small business? What type of businesses are you usually seeing? And I don't know, just share more about that.
Yeah, I would say that, here in Florida, it's a very diverse economy, So, there are obviously, not big on certain things that might have in other areas. Like, for example, like, Texas might be big in oil. There's not much of that here. But, there's so many like new people and like new arrivals and people moving into Florida that it's always hard to find like, one, you cannot maybe call one industry really here that much. And, other than maybe, obviously tourism, it's as big, but that's not the only thing, like there's a lot of entrepreneurs that we just mentioned, like people, doing landscaping, doing construction, and you see a lot of that. So another area that's big here is healthcare. Obviously, a lot of people move here to retire. And so there's a lot of retirement homes, a lot of like clinics, hospitals. Also there's kind of a culture thing happening with, Latin America, like, doing a lot of cosmetic surgery. So there's quite a few of those here as well. But yeah, I mean, there's so much, here in Florida, there's a ton, and something I wanted to add maybe before I go here is that, one thing, anybody out there like starting their own business or, considering kind of, making that jump and going for it. I think it's also key, to, talk to others that have been the same, that have done that, like Karla said, spoke to earlier, people that have done it too. For me, I think, right around the time that I wanted to do this, I actually saw one of the videos from you, Rob, from Feedbackwrench. I think it was maybe around the time you might have started. I like you not only do like your sort of marketing, but you also help, with like important information and key, some things you wanted to do, how you want to run the business. I thought that was very, very helpful. Just kind of looking at your website and looking at your videos, I actually got some pretty good ideas about what I wanted to do once I ran my business. So, I thought that was very helpful from you. And even when we started working with the whole, helping us with our website and everything, you always gave us very good input, not only about the marketing itself, but about kind of like the industry that we were working with. I know that you do more than accounting, but in the accounting area, you were very like, you had a very good understanding of my industry, and that really helped us. So, I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. So you're out of here now. You're leaving, and then Karla, we're gonna get a whole bunch more here. So
Sure.
Thank you so much, Julian. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Rob. Bye.
Bye.
All right, cool. So Karla, you're in a partnership.
Yeah.
And you started a firm in a partnership. What are some things that you could share, just what that's been like? It's cool. It's a relationship thing. It's always hard. You have your ups and downs with everybody, but what have you learned through that, and what could you share about that?
So, yes, it's funny because last week we were having a conversation with other partners that they are tax preparers. They have their own firm as well. And we are going to collaborate. And one of the things that we spoke about was the partnership, right? And I said, well, we're like a marriage in a way. And they were like, no, the difference between a marriage and a work partnership is that when you're married, at least at night, you can say, okay, honey, I'm sorry, or whatever. And you go to sleep and you wake up the next day and you're fine. It should be fine. But when you are in a partnership in a business, then it's like, okay, we have different strengths, right? And we have different weaknesses. So what I've learned the most about us is that we complement each other. So I do recommend that if you are going to be in a partnership, to find something like that, because maybe my strengths are, maybe my communication, for example, let's say, maybe that's my strength. And maybe not Julian, but Julian is maybe a little bit more aggressive on the sales side. And I'm a little more shy when it comes to that part. So that's when I feel like we, and we can have disagreements, obviously, right? Because we're two different people. But we know how to meet in the middle as well. So I've learned to listen to him to really listen to him. And the same thing, I feel like he has learned from me to learn my side of things. And I also listen to his side of things. And then together we make decisions.
That's great. I like that. I can really listen to him. I think one of the challenges when you have complementary gifted people is that you tend to overvalue what you value. You know, you can, and sometimes there's a dark side to that in that you undervalue the other perspective. Not always, but sometimes it's easy to roll your eyes where, oh, there you go again with the thing you care about. But I think the key is what you said, to really listen and hear and understand. That's a unique, humble thing. Like that takes maturity. That's not an easy thing. You know, another thing I wanted to ask about is I talk to a lot of business owners. They're usually accountants that are starting, but other people too. Now, when you guys started this firm, it's not like you mortgaged the house. It's not like you know, I meet some people that are in a tough position to start. You guys had done some things well. You had gained a bunch of skills. You had kind of developed a plan. You met each other. And then when you went out, you know, you have your other spouses have some income coming up. And talk to us about some of the things that you guys had in place so that you could actually start your own business.
Yeah. So the first thing that we decided when we were going to do this, because we were actually at the time, both of us, the main source of income of our houses. Right. So it was very hard for us to leave, like Julian said, steady paychecks, corporate America, to come into this world where we didn't know really what was going to happen. You can make projections, but that doesn't mean that that's going to happen. So for a long time, for about a year, Julian and I both kept our full-time jobs and did Upfront at night and on weekends. And we still had, as we were making sales, as we were doing bookkeeping and retaining new clients or taxes, all that money that we were making, we were reinvesting in the company. Like Julian said, we reinvested in marketing, advertising, a good website. That was our very first investment. Then once that was done, then we started looking for an office space. Because we learned that we actually work mostly virtually. Most of our clients, we meet with them virtually. But we also found with what we do that people sometimes do want to see you face to face. They feel like they need to have that connection before they make a decision whether to hire you or not. So we felt like having an office was important. So we started looking at that. And then we got an office. Then we have to buy furniture for the office. So we were doing all that with our full-time jobs, working with Upfront and working on these separate things on the side as well. But when we started our business, we were fortunate because we started with very little debt. We did get a line of credit. We did need that, obviously, to be able to just do a lot of the things that I just said about the office and furniture and equipment, right? We had to buy computers. We had to invest. So we did get a line of credit, and that helped us a lot. But at the beginning, for about a year, everything that we made with the company, we reinvested in. Obviously, we had spouses that supported what we were doing. We both have kids. We have young kids that play sports, that go to school. And so that was important. Having the support from our spouses was important too, because Juliana and I were focused 100% on the business, and they were helping us on the other side with the family part.
That's huge. What are some things that people might not expect when they start their own business? Like, because it's not all easy. Were there any surprises that come to mind that maybe most people don't think of?
Dealing with different clients, people have different personalities. So that for me was like, I needed to learn that. I needed to learn that not everybody was the same, that just to work with different personalities. I think the pressure of not having the steady income for me as well was rough. The ups and downs of the income, because you can have a really good month and then it drops, and then you have another good month. So that, not, like I said, not having the steady income every single month to month it's a little scary. But for us, at least as of right now, it has worked great.
That's cool.
Our business is growing.
That's cool. It is really hard. I've done it twice now, and there are behaviors you have to do, and there's stuff you have to be right. You have to sell and you have to execute. And what's so hard is most people that get started, you're used to that. Yeah, I can do the job. You guys are fantastic tax and accountants. But then what happens is you have to get the front end activity to run a meeting, to land the deal and everything like that. What have you learned are kind of the key behaviors to help keep the clients coming in? I'm sure you're still learning it. I always think advertising and website are part of it, but then you guys are also working with people and doing stuff. Like what all goes into you guys growing?
Great customer service. That is our focus. Because when we started doing this as well, Julian and I were speaking to different people to really explore, right? If we really wanted to go through with this, what we learned from people that we spoke about is I call my CPA, they never call me back. It takes me 3 weeks to hear back from them. When I speak to them, they're in a hurry. They don't really listen. Oh, I can never speak to the CPA. I can speak to other staff in their office, but I want to speak with them directly. And Julian and I decided at that time, we're going to do this and we're going to focus on customer service. We're not only going to provide, we're going to do a great job, but we're also going to provide customer service. When we will hire employees. We will have employees. We have already an assistant helping us. But we are the ones that always meet with the clients. We have a 24-hour callback policy. Somebody calls and we can take their phone call at that time. We do call them back within 24 hours. That is our focus, and that has worked for us great. It has worked for us really, really good.
That's cool. So as you guys are like, what does the future look like? What are you guys trying to build? It sounds like you want to continue to scale, have a significant practice. What are you guys trying to conquer? What does the future look like?
So, with our business, we have seasons, right? We have the tax season, then you have the monthly retainers where you do the bookkeeping, the monthly accounting services. The part that we learn that we feel it will work for us as well is the teaching part. Providing, and we actually have one this Friday, where we're going to have realtors go into our office and we're going to explain to them why it's important and why we think for certain realtors that it's important that they see themselves as the business, that they form an S Corp and pay themselves a salary. We have so many realtors that come to our office and just don't see the benefit of doing that. So we're actually going to teach a class on Friday and show them like not real, made up by us, but we can show them this is one 1040 with a 1099 alone. This is a 1040 with wages and an S Corp. And this is how you can save money. So we want to start having more learning activities with our clients.
So that means you've taken the initiative to have a relationship with realtors. Like that's that little tactic and strategy is one thing, but then you have to go out and arrange that. How did you guys arrange that, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so we actually are very lucky that Julian's wife owns a title company.
Yeah.
So that's her world. So she would refer us a lot of the people that she worked with, which are these realtors. And that's when we started seeing that trend that, like I said, that a lot of realtors
That's
are not
huge.
interested in having W-2s. But something else that we noticed as we were working on taxes during tax season is people not having a lot of knowledge about Obamacare and how that impacted their taxes as well. So that's going to be another thing that we're thinking about after the realtors presentation, something else that we want to educate the brokers, the people that sell, the insurance agents, so they can explain to their clients, this is how their taxes can be affected if they don't make right decisions when choosing the Obamacare plan. So those are the things that we learn with our clients. Those are things that we want to go back and help them with to prepare for the next tax season.
That's cool. How about as you're, as folks come in and you connect with them and you have these sales meetings going? I think you mentioned maybe Julian's doing a lot of that. What have you learned through that process? What are you learning about selling accounting services? What are you learning about how people perceive things?
I learned that people need to trust you. People need to see you as the expert. So I've learned and I've learned a lot through you, Rob, also in our meetings. So you have helped us through this as well. You have to be confident about your product. If you believe in your product, you're confident about what you do, that makes the sales process easier. But I think in our case, because we work with really private data, a lot of people, it's very hard for a lot of people to share information that they have to share with us: income, taxes, family, dependents, social security numbers. You really have to trust your accountant. And that's one thing that we learn. They can see that they can trust us with their information.
Do you feel like you have, what have you learned about helping people feel that you're trustworthy? And like, are there some things that you've bumped your head on or what, like, tell me more.
Well, that's one of the reasons we decided to also invest in a system to share information. That was the first thing. We need to be sure that people feel comfortable. It's not safe to be sending personal things through your email, period.
It's the secure portal, tax dome type of deal.
Portal.
Yeah,
exactly. So we do have that. So definitely that was the first thing. So yeah, make investments as in that aspect. The system that we use for our tax, when we prepare taxes, things like that, things that we know that are secure for the people to be able to share the information with us.
That's great. That's great. So as you're selling, what else are you learning? I know that we had a conversation about, hey, there's some quotes out there. I mean, if you're willing to share a little bit about that.
Sure. So one of the things that we show now during our presentations is we show examples of how we have helped other companies save money or whatever the case is, right? So we have shown examples. We learned the hard way that you don't give a proposal via email. That's another thing.
That was
the beginning.
Now, I've heard a couple of people, just, you weren't the first ones that have come to me with that. Rob, the leads are coming. Everything's going. We're not getting people sign our engagement letters. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And then it's come to find out, you felt really good about the meetings and everything. And you would put together a proposal, right? And kind of send it to them in an email. And when I heard that, and so the result was you were having a couple of proposals kind of hang out there. They weren't really closing. And one of the things that we did as we visited that day, I was like, I think there might be an opportunity here because, when you send a proposal, you just see that no matter what the thing says, all they do is go find the number of how much it costs. And they're like, accounting costs that much? What? Yeah. Whereas what the goal is to try to, take that price and wrap as much coherent value propositions to it so that they see all the stuff you're doing, the impact you'll have. And you got to cast vision for that because otherwise it's pretty painful. So you're saying you guys did decide to kind of, and then I said, do it in a meeting. And so you're saying you do that in a meeting type of deal?
Yeah. So we changed that completely, Rob. And it changed everything.
Really?
As soon as we started that, such a small change that we just didn't think about. And somebody, like I said, from the outside, a team that's helping you through this, that small change changed everything for us. Because now when we give them the proposal, we show them, like you said, with examples of this is how much we charge, but this is the reason why. And this is what we can do for you. And we ask them questions now. This is something that we weren't doing before also. I don't think we were asking enough questions, and maybe we were not asking the right questions. Like, how much revenue, things like that will really help us understand their needs and what we were able to provide to them.
That's huge. You can do all the marketing in the world and get people in and really asking amazing questions of where are they at, what problems do they perceive, and then again, so here I go coaching. there's also this, how do you ask questions that might expose problems they don't really know about? And then there's a little bit of this vision casting too, saying, hey, do you like the idea of this or not? And there's all sorts of things. That's encouraging to know that it has worked over time to help improve. But you know what, so in selling, who is it that, do you guys kind of approach it as a team, or is it just one of you, or what have you learned there?
Yeah. Most of the time, if we're both available, we will do the meetings together with the clients, both of us. Of course, there are instances where we're both, we're busy or whatever the case is. We have meetings at the same time, and one of us will take it. But most of the time, we do take the meetings together.
That's great. Now I see the word believe on the back wall there. You guys, you mentioned it pretty early in this podcast. You said that the advice I think you said would be believe. Yeah. And now you just mentioned it again, of believing what you're doing is valuable to people. Is that where it is when you hear believe? Is it primarily just remember the overall value and impact that you're having in business people's lives? Is that the belief you have to keep fostering? Tell me more.
So it's definitely that. It's also believe in yourself, believe in that you can do this, believe that sometimes, my husband has actually told me, I wish we were doing this 15 years ago when we were younger, maybe we had more energy. And I said, well, not necessarily, because 15 years ago, I didn't have the same knowledge that I have now. So I actually believe that I'm doing this at the right time. Because the experience that I have working, like I said earlier, in corporate America for so many years and different companies, because I feel like every company that I went to, I learned something new from each. All of that combined together took me to where I am today. And now I feel confident enough to be able to share this information with my clients now. But sometimes I'm like, believe, can I really do this? Can I really own my own business? Yes, you can.
That's awesome.
Yes, you can. 20 years ago, I didn't even think about, when I decided to be an accountant, I never thought that I was going to be working as an independent accountant. I always thought I was going to work for a company and do accounting for a company.
It's interesting. I bump into a lot of folks, and you'll see them on TikTok and YouTube. There are lots of really young people talking trash about having a normal W-2 job, or you have to have other people's money working on your behalf. But one of the things that I think I've learned is that my job's working for other people has equipped me with the tools that I need to succeed. I think that, your comment there, that your career brings you to this point where you are a specialized value add. You're able to solve problems, have perspective. You get all those repetitions of opportunity, or just solving the problem. What advice would you have to maybe a young person who, maybe they got out of college and they're tearing at, they want to start their own firm. They want to start their own business. What tips would you personally have for them to prepare them or get them ready? Or
yes, I think since you don't necessarily have a lot of the experience because you're just starting out, like I said, hire the people that will help you have that experience that you don't have yet, and work together and learn from them. Something that I learned pretty quickly as well through this process, it's okay to hire a consultant. Like I said, you don't have to do this on your own. You can consult, you can look for help and learn from your mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but learn from them.
That's good. I think it's interesting. I encourage more people to, if you want to start your own business, go get a job in a firm that looks like the way you want to build, and go in to learn it all. Just absolutely absorb, deliver above expectations. I'll occasionally have people where they'll describe to me that I don't love my job. I'm disengaged from my job. I can do so much more, but more doesn't equal more money. And I just had a guy do this about a month ago. And when I heard that, I was like, there's no way you'll have your own business, because you have to go in. If anything, you should be in there going, you can hijack and learn every skill, get perspective. If you're in a job you dislike, become a learn-it-all. Write documents of what you're learning, of how these processes were. How did this business get there? Go
Right.
get meetings with other people that do other things. Learn every side of the business. And if you do that, then I'd say you're probably going to be a good entrepreneur. You got to be a learn-it-all, I think. That doesn't mean you do it all. You've mentioned twice, collaborate or people with different skills. I think you got to identify your strengths, maximize and develop those strengths, manage your weakness, but then surround yourself with people who have strengths that are totally different than you. And I think, I don't know, what thoughts come
And
to
I
mind?
think, something that I think a lot about is I don't know what I don't know, right? So sometimes speaking to other people, even in the same industry, like you said, asking, I have this situation, how do you do it in your practice? Because maybe they have ideas, maybe they have something that they are doing that I haven't thought about yet. So that's why, I take classes, I take trainings with other people similar to our industry, because sometimes there's things that they do that they have thought about and they're doing one way that maybe I just didn't think about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
So, yeah.
That's good. I guess the only other thing I'd like to hear is, again, I talk to so many people and I know lots of people are eager to start their own business. So I hear a couple of things. I'm just going to summarize this. Maybe you have some more encouragement for people that want to launch. So you've taught us, first off, you had partners, your spouses were ready to do this. You came in with a plan. You found some perspective from different places. You had careers where you developed the skills that you could bring to market there. I mean, you said you partnered with folks with us to help you on, the marketing side, website and all that. You do the activity that you absolutely have to do. You hustled for a year full-time at your own job while you worked side gig. Like all this is like, these are not easy things for people to do. You guys were both the main source of your incomes, and yet you side gig hustled to get this going because you had a dream. You took on a little bit of debt. That's a big pressure. And meanwhile, you're being good parents and staying involved with your kids. What other things do you feel like people really should know as they're starting a business and they're launching? Maybe either right away beforehand or even, a year or two into it. What else would you encourage them with?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's hard, but it's doable. But you can do it. If you stay focused and you believe, you can do it. Like I said, really, I am a planner. So I do plan a lot. I do think I don't make decisions really fast. I really think about them first. But partnering with Julian, the thing that helped me also, he's a risk taker. I'm not. And again, we meet in the middle. So he has pushed me a little bit more to be a more risk taker, but I do bring him down also as well. Hey, let's think about this first. Let's analyze it. Let's do our research before we make a decision. So like I said, before I make any decisions, I do prepare myself first to make sure that I make an informed decision.
That's interesting.
So I definitely encourage that. But like I said, if you believe in your product, if you believe in what you're saying, just know that it's not easy, but it's doable.
Yeah, that's huge. Believe it's doable. Persist. Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, he's got that notorious quote that persistence above all else will get you. And if you do the persistence in the right things, and I always want people to know is most people look at a business and they see kind of the glamorous stuff. They might know that there's some long hours, but it's like, well, I'll do long hours if it's mine. Like, come on, I'm building my own thing here. Yeah, long hours to make me filthy rich. But the thing that they don't often know is just how persistent and tenacious you have to be at selling or at front-end activity, because it really takes a couple of years of persistence in that, finding people, solving their problems, doing it well, capturing that trust, and kind of re-upping so that you build that flywheel of momentum where all of a sudden the referrals come, all of a sudden the SEO pays off, all of a sudden you have a bunch of reviews, you have testimonials. Things get easier, but they often don't know the times where, like, what went in it to get those first ones. A year of working full-time and doing side gig stuff for probably not high billing either. Like you were probably learning your way through the bookkeeping stuff. I mean, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, exactly that. Yeah, no, you said it well. Like I said, it's hard, but you learn as you go as well.
Yep.
Like I said, it's not impossible. SEO. At first, when the first time we met, I had to Google what is SEO. Oh, search engine optimization. How does that help me?
Yeah.
I had to learn. I never thought in my life that I would have to learn so much about marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But now I hear people talking about SEOs and this and that, and I'm like, hey, I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot of these things. I've learned as I go.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things that helped me a lot is reading. There's a lot of books out there. I don't know if you read a lot or whatnot. There's periods when I've been able to read more, but Donald Miller has a book called Marketing Made Simple. And so much of what I influence all of our customers and we use is found in the Marketing Made Simple framework of their story brand marketing. And so I think every entrepreneur, Mark Cuban says, every entrepreneur needs to be able to sell. And really what it is how to say, hey, I understand the problem you have. I see where you're stuck. I would love to help you get to there, the better future, what that looks like.
Yeah.
And so great sales is really identifying where people are stuck, finding out if you're a good solution for that, and then helping them choose that rather than pressure. It's never that. But I think you guys do a fantastic job at it. And but yeah, I think that selling part, it's always hard.
And we get better. I feel like we've gotten better with practice, right? So the more customer or possible clients that we meet, the better I see that we are getting at the selling part, right? The presentation, bringing up our website and showing them part of the website where we show our prices, our, what we do, how we can help them. So the more we do it, I feel the better we get at it too. So it's also practice. That's
great. That's good to hear. Well, Karla, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking this. If you're listening to this and if you're an accountant, we got some resources for you, but keep learning. I'm at feedbackwrench.com. I got a little course for $500. We can set up your websites, your marketing, all this stuff. But if you're a small business owner and you're looking for help, upfrontcpa.com. Not GNC accounting. We didn't even get into that. We've rebranded. Yeah. But reach out to Upfront CPA. Julian and Karla will take great care of you. I genuinely know they're full of integrity. They're super competent. They are out to add value for their business owners, and you'll be served well. So any other last thoughts, Karla?
No, thank you, Rob. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you.
We'll talk to you later.